It was supposed to be a quiet evening inside a small yoga studio, the kind of place where strangers walked in to find peace, not pain. But when a man named Marcus stepped inside for a late session, his life was about to twist into something no one in the room could have imagined. In less than 30 minutes, he would uncover a secret about the woman guiding his movements, a secret that shattered every calm breath he took. Witnesses say he froze, then stared at her like he was seeing a different person. And before anyone understood what was happening, the sound of a gunshot exploded through the room. One life ended instantly. One life changed forever. This is the story of what really happened inside that peaceful studio, where truth and silence met, and only one walked out. Welcome back to Dark Motives, where we explore the stories that leave people speechless and searching for answers. If you are new here, take a moment to subscribe. It helps us bring more cases like this your way. Turn on notifications so you never miss when we drop a new episode. And comment where you are watching from. We want to know the community standing with us tonight. The haunting events inside that yoga studio did not begin with violence. They grew slowly from a chance meeting between two people who seemed to be chasing the same thing: peace, healing, a reset from the world outside. Marcus walked in nervous, trying yoga for the first time because his doctor told him he needed relief from stress. The instructor, a calm woman named Serena, greeted him with a soft smile. She guided him, adjusted his posture, and encouraged him to breathe deeper. No one watching them that day could have guessed what was coming. The session ended quietly, but something strange happened afterward. Marcus lingered, asking questions, not just about yoga, but about her, who she was, where she came from, why she seemed familiar. Serena kept her answers polite, guarded, careful, but that calm mask would not hold for long. Stay with us because the clues that follow will lead to the moment everything fell apart inside that room. The story takes us to Jacksonville, Florida, a coastal city known for its palm-lined streets and quiet neighborhoods, where people move through life without expecting anything out of the ordinary. That calm was what drew Marcus there. After a difficult breakup and a stressful job, he hoped Jacksonville would give him a fresh start. He found a small studio tucked between a bakery and a flower shop. The sign outside promised peace and clarity. Inside, the soft lights and slow music felt like another world. Serena stood near the front, guiding a small group through gentle stretches, her voice smooth and steady. From the moment he saw her, Marcus felt something familiar. He kept staring, studying her face, trying to understand why. She moved through the room with confidence, and when she reached him to adjust his shoulder, her touch was light, reassuring. After class, he approached her, pretending he was confused about a pose. But there was more behind his curiosity. Serena smiled, explaining slowly, showing him how to find his balance. She spoke so calmly that Marcus almost forgot the question burning in his mind. They talked for a few minutes, and he found himself enjoying it. Serena never rushed. She listened, even laughed softly at one of his awkward jokes, but the feeling of familiarity would not leave him. Later that night, Marcus could not sleep. He kept replaying her face in his mind. He opened his phone and began searching. He typed in pieces of her name, variations, anything he could remember. And then something caught his eye. A small profile, blurry with an older picture that looked just like her. But the information beneath it was not what he expected. It hinted at a past she never mentioned, a past that would soon turn a quiet connection into a ticking clock. Marcus stared at the screen, zooming in on the picture. The face looked younger, the hairstyle different, but the eyes, they were the same. He scrolled slowly, reading every line beneath the photo. It hinted that Serena once lived under another name before moving to Jacksonville, Florida. A quiet note mentioned a medical transition years earlier, long before she became a yoga instructor. Nothing dramatic, nothing loud, just pieces of a life she had quietly put behind her. Marcus sat frozen. He whispered to himself, confused. Was it really her? Why would she hide something so big? And why did he feel like he was the only one who knew? The next day he returned to the studio. Serena greeted him with the same calm smile, unaware that he now carried questions that could shatter everything. He studied her carefully, noticing every movement, every word, wondering how long she had lived this new life without telling anyone. As class ended, he followed her outside, pretending he needed help again. Serena laughed softly, offering guidance, touching his arm lightly. But his mind was elsewhere. He kept waiting for her to explain herself, to reveal her past without him asking. But she never did. She simply stood there, kind, gentle, peaceful. Later, Marcus sat in his car, breathing hard. He opened the profile one more time, reading it again and again. His thoughts spun fast. Some said she left her home to avoid judgment. Others claimed she wanted freedom, a chance to live without fear. Marcus closed his eyes and leaned back. He felt angry, confused, and strangely betrayed, even though she had never promised him anything. He whispered, "Why didn't she tell me?" In that moment, something inside him began to shift. A storm was forming, silent but dangerous, and no one, not even Serena, could see it coming. In the days that followed, Marcus could not focus on anything else. At work, he found himself drifting away, staring at his computer without seeing a single word on the screen. Every quiet moment led him back to the same thought: Serena, her past, her secret. He returned to the studio again, pretending it was about yoga, but his eyes carried a different purpose. Serena welcomed him with the same peaceful warmth, guiding him with calm hands and a gentle voice. But he barely heard her. He watched her more closely than before, analyzing every gesture, every smile. After class, he lingered again. He tried to draw more from her, asking about her life in a soft tone. Serena kept her answers simple. She had moved from another state. She liked quiet places. She wanted a calm life. Her words carried peace, but his mind twisted them into something else. He thought she was hiding from him. He thought she owed him more truth. That night, Marcus searched deeper online. Old comments, vague mentions, pieces of conversations he barely understood. He scrolled until his eyes ached. The more he learned, the more he felt something dark taking root inside him. It was no longer curiosity. It became fixation. He imagined her walking through the city with a different name, a different body, a different voice. He imagined people laughing behind his back if he continued seeing her. He imagined betrayal where none existed. The idea consumed him. Every notification, every message, every silence felt like a sign. He began calling the studio, asking when she would be there. One evening, an employee answered, sounding confused, saying she had already left. Marcus drove past the studio anyway, circling the block, searching for her car. He drove slower each time, his thoughts tightening around him like a closed hand. Back at his apartment, he sat alone, staring at the wall. The quiet room felt heavy. He whispered to himself, questioning her, questioning life, questioning everything. This was no longer just about a secret. It was about control. A line was beginning to blur, and once crossed, there would be no return. The next morning, the sky over Jacksonville, Florida was pale and silent. Marcus woke with a tightness in his chest, as if something was urging him forward. He barely ate. He barely blinked. He simply drove. When he arrived at the yoga studio, Serena was arranging mats across the floor. The calm music played softly, drifting through the quiet room. She looked up with her usual warm smile, but it faded as soon as she saw the intensity in his eyes. He stepped closer than he ever had, his voice low, asking questions he had no right to ask. Serena froze, trying to remain composed. She guided him toward a corner of the room, away from the others arriving for class. Her voice was calm, steady, careful. She said, "Everyone has a past. Everyone has stories they carry. Some chapters are private," she whispered, as her hands trembled slightly. Marcus leaned in, questioning her again. How long had she been hiding it? Why didn't she say anything? Was she laughing at him behind his back? Serena tried to steady herself. She spoke gently. She said she moved here for peace, not to deceive anyone. She told him she was proud of who she was, but she did not owe her story to everyone. Her honesty, her softness did not calm him. It only deepened the storm. A few students walked in, noticing the tension. their eyes drifting toward them. Serena forced a small smile, telling Marcus they could talk later. But he stood firm, breathing hard, refusing to move. She reached for his arm softly, urging him to step outside. Marcus pulled away and walked out on his own, but his eyes never left hers. As the door closed, Serena exhaled slowly. She knew the secret was out, but she did not know how far he would go. That night, Marcus sat in his car outside the studio again, waiting, watching. His thoughts were louder than the quiet street around him. He felt something twist deeper inside. The line between curiosity and danger had already been crossed. 2 days passed, and Marcus stopped pretending. He no longer cared about yoga. He no longer cared about peace. Something inside him was slipping, slow at first, then fast enough to swallow reason whole. On a humid evening in Jacksonville, Florida, he parked across from the studio again. The street was quiet, only a few people walking by, unaware of the thoughts building inside that car. Marcus watched the door, his fingers tapping the steering wheel, his breath sharp and uneven. Inside the studio, Serena taught her final class of the day. She tried to focus, but every slow movement, every breath from her students felt heavy. She kept glancing toward the windows, afraid he might appear. When class ended, she stayed behind. She wiped the mirrors, folded mats, and locked the door slowly, as if each task delayed a reality she did not want to face. Outside, Marcus saw the lights flicker off. He stepped out, crossing the street. Serena jumped slightly when she saw him standing by the door. She hesitated, her keys shaking in her hand. He asked if they could talk. His voice was too calm, too controlled. Serena nodded with caution. They walked to the small courtyard beside the studio, where a fountain whispered quietly under the night sky. She tried again to explain. She wanted a life where she could be judged by her heart, not her history. She wanted peace. She wanted safety. Marcus stared at her without blinking. He asked why she thought she could just reinvent herself in a new city without telling anyone where she came from. Serena stepped back, her voice cracking, saying she owed her story only to those she chose. A long silence hung between them. The fountain's soft splash was the only sound as Serena stood trembling. Marcus whispered that she ruined his trust. Serena swallowed hard, saying they barely knew each other, that his expectations were unfair. He felt the words strike him like heat. He stepped closer. She stepped back, her breath short. For a moment he looked down, as if fighting something inside. But when he lifted his head again, his eyes were cold. A decision had already been made. The night air in Jacksonville, Florida felt heavier than usual, as if the city itself sensed what was coming. Serena stood still, watching Marcus with wide, fearful eyes. She searched his face for mercy, for understanding, for anything that might calm the growing terror in her chest. For a moment, he said nothing. Only the fountain behind them whispered. A warm breeze brushed against Serena's arm, yet her body felt cold. Marcus asked her one more time why she never told him the truth. His voice was quiet, almost broken, as if he was pleading with her and accusing her at the same time. Serena lifted her hands slowly, trying to show she meant no harm. She told him again that her past was not meant to deceive him. She said she chose to live freely, not defined by who she once was. Marcus stepped closer. Serena could see his hands trembling. She told him they could talk tomorrow, in a safer space, with calmer minds. She begged him to breathe, to remember where they were, but his mind had closed. He kept seeing the old photo, the old name, the life she left behind. He felt betrayed by a story that never belonged to him. Serena took another step back, her foot brushing against the gravel, her voice shaking. She promised she never wanted to hurt anyone, that all she wanted was peace. Marcus reached into his jacket. Serena's eyes widened. Her breath caught in her throat. She whispered his name, a soft, almost hopeful sound, a final attempt to pull him back from whatever darkness had taken him. But his hand came out fast. Her heart froze. The world around her blurred. A flash, a deafening crack. The courtyard fell silent. Serena collapsed onto the stone path, her eyes still open, staring at the sky she never thought she would die beneath. Her hands twitched once, then fell still. The fountain continued to whisper as if unaware that a life had just ended beside it. Marcus stood over her, frozen, breathing hard, eyes wide, a man who could not understand how he arrived at this moment. For a long second, Marcus did not move. His hands shook as he stared at Serena lying motionless on the stone path. The night felt still, as if the world had paused with him. Then reality crashed in. His breathing turned sharp, wild, uneven. He stumbled back, whispering her name, then whispering to himself. His thoughts spun so fast that none of them made sense. A neighbor nearby heard the sound, stepped outside, then froze when they saw a figure standing over a body. Before they could speak, Marcus ran. He sprinted through the courtyard, pushing through the gate, vanishing into the dark streets of Jacksonville, Florida. His footsteps echoed against the quiet buildings, his heart pounding louder than any alarm. He reached his car, fumbling with the handle, nearly dropping his keys. He fell into the driver's seat and pulled away fast, tires screeching against the pavement. As he drove, city lights streaked across the windshield. His hands gripped the wheel so tight his knuckles turned pale. He thought about her face, her voice, her final whisper. Each memory struck him like a blow. He tried to breathe but could not. Every corner he turned felt like it hid eyes watching him. He imagined the police already behind him, imagined sirens tearing through the night. But the street stayed silent. He crossed a bridge, heading toward a quieter part of Jacksonville, where the river flowed like a dark mirror beneath him. He parked near an abandoned lot, stepping out, trembling, pacing under the moonlight. His mind told him to run far, change his name, disappear. Another voice told him it was too late. There was no going back. He looked down at his clothes, specks of red. He tried wiping them with shaking hands, only making it worse. Far away, faint voices rose near the studio. Someone had found Serena. Someone was calling for help. Marcus backed up, eyes wide, swallowed by fear. A single thought repeated over and over in his mind. What have I done? The soft calm of Jacksonville, Florida shattered as officers arrived at the courtyard. Their flashlights swept across the stone path, landing on Serena's still body beneath the quiet fountain. Paramedics worked fast, but there was nothing left to save. A peaceful teacher's life had ended in the very place she tried to build peace for others. Witnesses spoke in hurried voices. They described a man leaving the scene, frantic, shaking, running toward the street. Some remembered his face from her classes. They had seen him just days before. Police released an alert, and the search began. Roadblocks rose across the streets. Helicopters passed slowly over the city. Patrol cars swept through neighborhoods, stopping anyone who matched his description. Marcus drove aimlessly for hours, hoping he could outrun reality. But dawn arrived and his strength faded. He parked near a quiet riverbank, staring at the reflection of the rising sun. There was nothing peaceful about the view. He stepped out slowly, breathing in the morning air. His clothes still carried the echoes of that night. He looked down at his trembling hands, and then at the sky, as if searching for an answer. The silence pressed on him, heavy. He thought about Serena's calm smile, her soft voice, the peace she lived for. He thought about the moment everything changed, and he knew he could never return to the man he was before. Hours passed before officers found the car near the river. They approached quietly, weapons ready. Marcus did not run. He stood still, exhausted, defeated. When they placed him in handcuffs, he barely reacted. He kept whispering her name under his breath, as if holding on to something he had already destroyed. He was taken into custody, questioned for hours. His story unraveled slowly through shaking words and long silences. He admitted he acted in fear, in confusion, in anger that never belonged to him. News spread quickly through Jacksonville. The yoga community mourned, lighting candles outside the studio. Flowers covered the entrance, filling the air with soft fragrance and quiet grief. Serena's family arrived days later, standing in disbelief where her life ended. They remembered her courage to live freely, to teach peace, to love without fear. Her life was more than a secret. It was a journey she had fought to protect. As the city of Jacksonville, Florida slowly returned to normal, the echoes of that night lingered. A life ended suddenly, violently, leaving questions, grief, and a community in shock. Marcus faced justice for the choices he made, but the pain left behind could not be undone. Serena's story reminds us how fragile peace can be and how a single moment can change everything. Her family and friends continue to honor her memory, lighting candles, sharing stories, and teaching others the value of truth, courage, and living authentically. If you have thoughts about this case, comment below. Tell us where you are watching from and share your perspective. We want to hear your voice, your reaction, your understanding of what happened. Dark Motives brings you the stories you cannot ignore. If you have not subscribed yet, make sure to do so now so you never miss a case that will leave you questioning, thinking, and feeling every step of the way. Turn on notifications, join the community, and stay with us as we uncover the motives behind the darkest acts. Thank you for watching. Remember Serena's story and remember the weight of the choices we make.